what I want to show, I'm going to back up. What I want to show you is the entire something else, how it looks right here. Show you the desk. The desk on the right there is a different desk, but the desk on the left is made of a kitchen countertop, about 64 inches. And the top, the superstructure I built is the second one I've actually built. I liked it so much, I've spent a whole lot of time building the superstructure. The desk has underneath, the desk underneath here has an I-beam. You can't see it, it's too dark. But I built the I-beam out of wood, and it's essential to make sure the desk is secure. It is on wheels, so I can move it out. And the reason is you move the desk all the way out, and then you can work on the wiring on the back. The back has a copper pipe across the back, hidden for hooking, for grounding everything. And I have little clamps across the back where I can lace all of my wires. Three things I want to point out here. Almost most of these rigs I've actually repaired myself. I've built two items that I really, really like. This is an audio breakout box. All of my audio is here. All of my radios are hooked into here. I can turn anything up or down as I want. This is a 20-second timer, and the timer is right here. I can listen, particularly for CW. This box is 8 different CW connections. So all of my rigs are hooked in CW, are hooked here. I simply turn this on, and then I turn on whichever rig I want, and then I'm ready to go. I have a built-in keyer, and I have a keyer up here. So I can right now, well, I've also hooked into my antenna systems. I only have two antennas up now, a long wire and a random wire rather, and an 80-meter center-fed ZEP with 39 feet of 450 ohm twin lead ladder line. This has really good isolation. Whenever a radio is not hooked in, it's grounded, and when you turn everything off, it's grounded. I have my separate power supplies up here for all of my rigs, and I use different tuners. I would suggest if you ever find one of these tuners, it's an L system tuner by Tech. It's really wonderful. We've already seen another one of these tuners tonight, a 2K tuner. It will tune high and low impedance right here, an L network tuner. L network tuners are great because if you get them done just right, you have a very broad band by comparison to Pi network tuners. I finally put in this radio down here, my Drake 2B. I bought that years ago at RaRa auction. It's really great. Let's just turn it over here and turn it up. So in other words, I can do everything at the flip of a switch, and that's what I like about it. I do not have a computer here right now that I use for logging. I've always logged on paper, so my grandkids can look through it and see what craziness that I have done in my whole life. I started out in 1960 as KN7NPF in Seattle, Washington. After 10 years, my license lapsed. And after 38 years, I got back in it around mid-90s or something like that. So I've been in RaRa and with the Antique Wireless Association Museum for all that time. So that's a real short course, guys.
Wow, it was worth the wait.
Anybody have any
questions?
Yeah.
How about your newest acquisition, that HRO?
Yes, I now have an HRO. I'll tell you why. HRO used to be called HOR. And it was called, the national company called it Hell of a Radio, HOR. But then they realized that whore doesn't come out very nice, like the whore, whatever number. So they turned it around and made it HRO. Now, why I got those is that I have three other radios in the basement. They're all the same, and they didn't realize I was buying all these radios until I looked down in my junk stuff and said, "Hey, I have the three of the same radio." It's a Hammarlund model that was used during World War II, sold to the British by the hundreds for listening to the enemy from Britain. The HRO was sold. They sold 10,000 of those to the British for the Y stations. The Y stations were all around Britain, and some of them were in Egypt, North Africa, and they were listening to the Germans, to the military and whatnot. HRO receivers were also used for the secret SOE, and the SOE was a super secret, clandestine information gathering, a bomb laying, resistance preparation activity basically in France from 1941, 42-ish, all the way even past D-Day. And
the Special Operations Executive.
The SOE, and not even the SOE people knew the name of what they were working at. And women were sent in as well as radio operators. Remember, I don't want to give a lecture here, but they couldn't send a lot of young men in then to work as radio operators or even operatives, because if they were younger, they would be snapped up on the street and sent to Germany to work as slave labor. So they sent in women to be the couriers and the radio ops. Not many of them were sent. About 50 women were sent, and many of them, about 13 or 14, lost their lives in the concentration camps in gruesome conditions. But yeah, people didn't even know about this. No one knew about it. Other parts of the military didn't even know about it. And the high brass of the regular military really didn't like it. MI6 hated them because they were seen as amateurs. But they did some unbelievable stuff to help after D-Day. So that's it.
Well, thank you. I had a chance to play with that radio you received, and I'm glad to hear the history behind that kind of product.
Well, women sat at most of those posts. There were three groups. One was two basic groups. The SOE people, women were working there as well, and sending Morse code back to the operatives on their B2 spy radios out of suitcases and whatnot in France. Then there were the others, the WAFs, WAAFs, who were copying all over England and sending the stuff first by motorcycle courier and then by teletype to Bletchley Park. And without those women copying that code and copying in terrible conditions and copying the Germans, and it was just quite amazing. And it was all encoded, and had to be all that had to be broken by Bletchley Park.
Hopefully
Fascinating.
someday
Thank you.
come and do that presentation. I think we were going to do that.
I'd like to do that presentation once. I have a great presentation on that, and so we could do that this fall maybe.
Yeah, I think that's definitely on the plate here. Well, thanks very much. I think that was wonderful. Yeah, I think we got a really good cross section of.
I'm a CW
stations. Man. Well, I wish I was a CW man. I've been trying to learn on and off for years, and I was hoping on this little vacation I had here to be able to spend some time. I even brought some radios with me and never got it set up.